Mark chapter 5, verses 25 to 34. The story goes this way in the contemporary English version of Scripture. In the crowd was a woman who had been bleeding for 12 years. She had gone to many doctors and they had done nothing. They had done anything but except cause her a lot of pain. She had paid them all the money she had, but instead of getting better, she only got worse. The woman had heard about Jesus, so she came up behind him in the crowd and barely touched his clothes. She had said to herself, if I can just touch his clothes, I will get well. As soon as she touched them, her bleeding stopped, and she knew she was well. At that moment, Jesus felt power go out of him. He turned to the crowd and asked, who touched my clothes? His disciples said to him, look at all these people crowding you. How can you ask who touched you? But Jesus turned to see who had touched him. The woman knew what had happened to her. She came shaking with fear and knelt down in front of Jesus. Then she told him the whole story. Jesus said to the woman, you are now well because of your faith. May God keep you, give you peace. You are healed and you will no longer be in pain. So on this morning, I want to talk about when pain met power. Amen. When pain and power meet. When pain and power meet. In the crowd, the woman is a representation of pain. And in the crowd, Jesus is the representation of power.
Yes, yes.
When pain and power meet. When was the last time you were in a crowd? We look at this text and we find Jesus and this woman in a crowd surrounded by many people. When was the last time you were in a crowd? Maybe the last time you were in a crowd was at a concert. Maybe you were at the fair or a carnival of some sort. Maybe you were at an amusement park. Maybe the last time you found yourself in a crowd was at a football game. Maybe the last time you were in a crowd was at a convention or a banquet. Maybe it was at a graduation. Well, I tell you, my most recent experience of being in a crowded place was at the airport. I tell you, in that airport, there were people everywhere. It was loud. It was congested. It was a busy crowd. It was diverse, but there was something interesting in this crowd at the airport. I happened upon a woman who had a dog with her in the airport. It was interesting because I discovered that this was not just any kind of dog. You see, the dog had a little jacket on, and the dog was labeled emotional support. So the woman in the crowd had a dog with her for emotional support. It made me think about what happens or what's present within a crowd. You see, many times in the crowd, we simply just see people, but we don't always see the issues behind the people. What's really in a crowd? Maybe in a crowd, there's frustration. Maybe there's anxiety in a crowd. Maybe in a crowd we find fear and hurt. Maybe in a crowd there is sadness, perhaps uncertainty in a crowd. When we look on people, what's really there, maybe even pain is in the crowd. In our text, there was pain in the crowd. I mean, just a woman on the outside. But there was something going on. There was pain going on with this woman. She was there, but she had something with her. Pain accompanied her. Think about that. Pain. People walk around every day with pain as a companion.
Oh, yeah.
People walking around. I mean, has pain ever wanted to travel with you? You know, physical pain. Hidden pain. Silent pain. You know, mental, spiritual pain. Everywhere you go seems like pain wants to get in the car. You're on your way to the grocery store and pain wants a ride. All you want want to do is get to church, and pain wants to come even and sit on the pew with you. Pain wants to accompany you. You look at your bank account and you see pain. Even in your relationships, pain shows up. I thought that we were okay, but pain is in the midst of us. Even in your mind. Before you know it, pain. You're trying to think good things, but bad thinking wants to come into your midst. Pain even wants to come into your body. You know, there used to be a time when you know when it's going to rain because you just get a pain, you know, and you just know that pain, it's about to rain. But now pain has become so prevalent, you don't just know it's about to rain. You know it's going to be 75 degrees with a light breeze. That's how popular pain has become in your life. I mean, pain, why do you want to go with me everywhere? That must be the way this woman felt. Everywhere she goes, pain, that issue. Everywhere I go, pain wants to go with me. You don't even know my name, church. When you read this story, you just call me the woman with the issue of blood. But on this day, her pain met power.
All right.
She happened to be in the right place at the right time. Or maybe Jesus was just in the right place at the right time. But in order for pain to meet power, there had to be an introduction.
Oh, yeah.
You see, this woman had to set up a meeting. She thought to herself, if I can introduce my pain to this man, then I can get well. Maybe she had introduced people before. You know, she maybe have introduced neighbors to neighbors. Maybe friends to friends, colleagues to colleagues, family members to family members. But this was going to be a different kind of introduction. You see, it would be different simply because of the days in which this woman was living in. It was different to introduce her pain to this man, being that she was a woman with an issue of blood. You see, this was a bold introduction because women during that time of menstruation, that was thought as a time where they were unclean. She was filthy, even though it was a normal process. This was a bold move to take this type of an introduction because women were condemned to a feeling of being unworthy. She was soiled. Anything and anyone she touched, she would contaminate. Think about that responsibility. I can't be around other people because I'll make them dirty. I can't be around other people. She lived her life feeling less than, but she was going to make this introduction. You see, even the Jewish male, whenever such woman was around, you see, he couldn't stand a chance of being soiled. And so whenever such woman would come around, he would yell out, "Be gone, thy filthy woman." What if Jesus was that man? What if Jesus was like every other Jewish male that she had known? What if Jesus did not see her humanity but only saw her issue? What if this man, but no, I feel that this is going to be different. If I could just get near that man.
Preach out.
If I could just get near that man. I've known a whole lot of men, but there ain't never been a man like this man. If I could just get to this, I'm going to make this introduction. And the good thing is Jesus, he grabbed hold to her humanity. That's what I love about Jesus. No matter what type of issues I might have, no matter what people may shun me for, no matter what kind of mistakes that I may have made, if I could just get to that man.
Amen.
No matter what, at the end of the day, this scene must have been shocking to her community. Jesus is going to deal with a woman like that? Isn't that the woman with the issue? You know how crowds talk, don't you? Even when you walk into the room, they may not even say anything. And if they do, they say something under their voices. That's her. That's the one. Religious folk as well, right? But not Jesus. Thank God for the introduction. And so, Jesus mentions her. There's an honorable mention in this moment because he realizes that power is released from one to another. Something happened during this meeting. Who touched my clothes? Jesus. Look at this crowd. Look at all of these people, Jesus. It's difficult to be in a crowd and not be touched. You raise a peculiar question, Jesus. How can you ask who touched you? But Jesus turns around and he looks for that person. You see, he was that man. Now she's become that person. Looking around, you see, sometimes it is about you. There's countless people in the world, but then there's you. Only the one you. And the question is, would Jesus notice you in the crowd? What would really make Jesus notice us in a crowd? I don't believe they would be because we put on our Sunday best. I don't believe that Jesus would recognize us because we have nice hats and nice suits. I don't think that Jesus would be looking around to see who has the largest cross or the biggest Bible. What really would make Jesus recognize us in a crowd? You see, in this world, people would say it's important that you stand out in a crowd. Some years ago, I went to audition for American Idol. And I made it all the way to Hollywood. But before they permitted me to go, Simon Cowell himself said to me, "You did very well. That was a good song." He said, "But when you get out to California, there are going to be many people there, and you're going to want to stand out in the crowd." I thought about that when I considered this woman. But I'm so glad that God is not like man. You see, because man looks on the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. You see, if Jesus is looking around to recognize you, he's going to wonder when he looks at your hands. Do your hands look like giving hands? When Jesus looks at you, are you going to stand out in the crowd? When he looks at your feet, are they going to look like feet that really have went and said, "Go and make disciples of men"? When Jesus looks at your heart, is he going to see love in that heart? Or is he going to see judgment? When Jesus looks at your smile, will he find one in the first place? When he looks at your face and he sees your countenance, will he see a smile that shows kindness? When Jesus looks at your mind, will you let this mind that was in Christ Jesus really be in you? Are you thinking right? When he looks at your mouth, are you talking right? What is it that makes us stand out in a crowd when it comes to Jesus? This woman was recognized and she was mentioned. I don't know about you, but I want Jesus to recognize me. I don't know about you, but I want Jesus to mention me. I don't know about you, but I want the Lord to know my name.
Come on now.
Pain and power met. This was a spectacular moment. And what's interesting is that this woman, she's made well, but notice in the text, even verse 34, she wasn't made well because of the act of touching Jesus. You know, even now, I hear people say, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, you know, I'm like that woman. If I could just touch. But she wasn't healed because of the act of touching. She was made well because she believed that something would happen when she touched the hem of his garment. There's a lot of acts that we can do. We can act like Christians. But that doesn't mean that we're Christians in our hearts. We can act like we're serving, posting it on social media. Look at what I did. But that doesn't mean that we're really Christians. We can say it with our mouth. We can even do the act because sometimes we know how to look Christian. But I want to be a Christian in my heart because you see, her faith was bigger than her 12 years of pain. Some of us have been going through things for a long time. But your faith has to be bigger than time. Chronos should not define our relationship with the Lord. You see, 12 years is a long time, but her faith was bigger. And maybe she even had flashbacks about those doctor's visits. You see, the text tells us that she visits several doctors and she spent all her money. She may have had a flashback. Even before she got to Jesus, she may have thought about it. You know how the human mind is. Well, I've been to several doctors. Some of them have MDs and PhDs. You know, they took all of my money. Even the coins that I saved. I mean, and all they did was cause me pain. No one expects to go to the doctor and leave in pain. All they did, a flashback. I only got worse. She was a victim of medical abuse. And this aspect of the story is significant because even here in America, there have been those who have suffered medical abuse. In the first few decades of the 20th century, there were thousands of American women, most of them poor African American women, who were forcibly sterilized based on those IQ test scores. Because their tests were low, they were sterilized many times without even their knowledge. That's right. And this is why the consequence of that is that in the black community, many times we don't trust medical professionals because of these types of things. Read about the eugenics movement. The eugenics movement in this country is about trying to breed. It's selective breeding. If I can breed this human with that human, then we'll get better results. And so it's unfortunate that there are those in our society who have been victims of such treatment. In society, those whom we hold in high regard are not always ethical. That's why we thank God for people like your pastor, Senator Paul Lowe, Pastor Paul Lowe, Dr. Paul Lowe, who stands for those who are marginalized and mistreated, who stands for those where it's not always about race, sometimes it's about class. He stands for those who are poor. He stands for those that many people don't even think about because you're okay. As long as you have health care, then it's okay. As long as you have a little money in your bank account, then it's okay. You have on a warm coat today, but there are those in community who suffer. So we thank God for those politicians who are ethical. Thank God.
Amen.
For those who stand. So this woman, she was dealing with this all of these years, but again, she did not let her pain become bigger than her faith. Her faith was big because perhaps she understood that Jesus didn't have to practice medicine. You see, every other doctor, they open something called a practice. But not Jesus. Jesus was awesome because he opened an urgent care in the midst of a crowd. Have you ever seen a clinic in a crowd? Have you ever known someone so great to where I can heal you right here, right now, where you stand? Oh, that's the power of Jesus Christ. God can be what you need, when you need it, wherever you need it. Oh, Jesus is the one who opened a clinic right there. That's what I love about Jesus. So this woman, she received peace. Jesus told her that she would have healing and that there would be no more pain. Have you given your pain to the Lord? Some of us came in here with pain. Pain just holding on to a thread. I know you're going to church, but I'm right here too. I know you're sitting on the pew, but look down your row. There I am. I know you're hearing this preaching, but before you leave here, I'm still going to go with you. But when you give your pain to the Lord, I mean, leave your all on the altar. Do you know that God is able to handle your pain? You see, the reason why some of us haven't given up pain is because we still have a relationship with pain. We have an on again, off again relationship with pain. You know those kinds of relationships. On again, off again. No pain, no gain. Then others of us, you know, no pain, no gain. The devil is a lie. That on again, off again relationship. And then some of us have that tolerable relationship with pain, where you know it's not really that bad. I can live with it. Well, straighten your face and live with it then. But don't walk in here putting all of that pain on us. If you're dealing with it, you're going to live with it, keep your pain. But if you want to get rid of it, you have to break up with it. And then in some relationship, you want to be just friends with pain.
Oh my God.
You know, it just comes around every once in a while.
Oh my God.
You know those kinds of relationships. Just a rendezvous with pain. Pain is not really that bad, but you need to understand that God specializes in taking care of pain. If Jesus can do what he did for this woman then, Jesus can make a way for you now. The old saints said God specializes. They said, have you any rivers that you think uncrossable? Have you any mountains that you can't tunnel through? God specializes in things that seem impossible, and he'll do what no other power can do. More than do power, more than financial power, more than political power. God is able, because God is the pain professional. And if you give your pain to the Lord, he'll give you power. He'll give you power because Jesus dealt with pain. But trouble didn't last always. There were nails, but trouble didn't last always. There was a crown of thorns on his head, but trouble didn't last always. There was a piercing in his side, but trouble didn't last always. He was beat, but trouble didn't last always. The blood flowed down, but trouble didn't last always. He died, but he rose with all power. I said he rose with all power. He rose with all power. Because Jesus is the exemplification of power over pain. And if you stick with Jesus, he'll give you power over pain. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. You dealt with pain, but the Lord gave you power. You had to cry, but the Lord gave you power. You felt defeated, but God was your victory, and he gave you power. So now you can declare, I've had some good days.